In this video, I'm going to be using the Butterich product to create a wonderful cake gateau. Butterich is a great substitute for butter. It has the same flavor profile, but it's a premium margarine. So not only is it value for money, you're going to get a higher volume in your product and much more out of your cake mix. Therefore, you're saving money and creating a bigger production for your business. To start off with, we're going to be creaming the Butterich and the sugar together. So just the classic method of a sugar bather method. And we want to cream this together until light and fluffy. The best thing about using a margarine is you're going to be able to incorporate more air. So therefore it's going to be a lighter texture, higher volume, and still have that richness as you would find with using just regular butter. It's important when making sugar batter cakes that we continually are scraping down the side. If I was in the industry making this in workplace and I was doing a big batch, the quickest way would be to get a blowtorch and just blowtorch around the edges so that it seeps down to the bottom and continues to aerate. This process can take up to 15 minutes to get that full air and cream-like texture. So our sugar and Butterich has now fully been aerated. What you'll see is that the color comes close to white and translucent. Just gonna scrape it down, and then we're gradually gonna emulsify eggs into the batter. What I like to do with my eggs, so these eggs have been sitting out, so they're at room temperature. It's important when you're emulsifying that both parts are at the same temperature. So I'm just gonna go bit by bit. And the advantage of using a margarine is that it's gonna have those added emulsifiers in there, so it's really gonna assist in it and be becoming bigger in volume, and you're gonna get more out of your cake mix. So I like to keep it on speed 2. As you can see, the fat has been split and it starts to look like it's split. At this stage, we allow it to come to full emulsification before we start applying more egg into it. If I unloaded all the eggs in at one go, it's likely that the entire cake mix will be split. Rest of our eggs, and we'll just wait now until that is fully incorporated and emulsified properly. As you can see here, we now have a fully emulsified cake batter mix. What I'm going to do now is we're going to incorporate some vanilla and then fold through our dry ingredients, alternating with milk. The reason we do this in this sort of process is to keep the aeration high, and we're going to get a lighter crumb in the cake and a bigger volume in our production. Just some Halo vanilla, which is great high quality vanilla, roughly about 10 grams for a batch like this. You can really see by using Butterich, a margarine, we've got a much higher volume compared to using just a natural butter product. So we've just got plain flour and baking powder together. We're just gonna slowly, bit by bit, fold this through. As we fold in any sort of dry ingredient, we wanna take our time. You start being fast now, all that air that we've just spent incorporating into the Butterich and the sugar is gonna collapse. I'm gonna alternate with a bit of milk, our last bit of milk. And finally, just to spice things up a bit, I'm gonna zest fresh orange. Should always, when zesting any citrus fruit, be over the cake batter or anything that you are weighing up, whether it's a curd, biscuit, because as you microplane off the zest, you're microplaning and extracting those oils, which is where 90% of the flavor is. Now I'm gonna do is I'm gonna juice it as well. I'm just gonna fold that through at the very end, and that's it. That's our cake batter. We're gonna deposit this into the molds and then put it into the oven for up to half an hour until fully baked at roughly 400 grams per mold. Now it's time to put this cake finally together. We've had it baked, it's come out so beautifully, got a real moist crumb from that, lots of that aeration from the Butterich. Now what I've done is we're gonna make the filling, which is just a buttercream. What I've done is I've aerated the Butterich to full volume with a bit of vanilla bean and orange zest. And I've currently made an Italian meringue. Really thick, set, and then we simply add our aerated fat into the meringue. Now some recipes say to change to a paddle. You can certainly do that. For ease of convenience though, I've always had no trouble using a whisk. Now, what's eventually gonna happen with the buttercream is that it's gonna split. It's gonna look split, but what's gonna happen, it's gonna come back together and be really smooth and creamy. So that's come together. We're just gonna give it a scrape down. What I've done here is I've chopped the cake off. I've actually soaked it in a orange syrup to moisten up that crumb, and that's gonna help it with its shelf life. It's gonna extend it, keep the moisture in. If you don't syrup your cakes, they end up really, really dry. So it's a simple step that's very cost effective, that's gonna make a massive difference to your end of product. So I'm only gonna add a light orange to this, keeping that flavor profile. We're not gonna confuse the customer by coloring this pink or purple. You know, we've got an orange syrup, we've got an orange cake, you know, just a light orange color, and then decorate it with some beautiful berries. And there you have it, a 3-layered buttercream cake with fresh berries, bit of silver leaf, and boy, wouldn't that make anyone's birthday or Friday night just that little bit sweeter.